Level 1. The Trainee. You show up to the FAA Academy in Oklahoma City on a Monday morning in January. The building is not what you expected. It is not sleek or modern or impressive. It is a low government complex with fluorescent hallways and a cafeteria that serves the same 4 meals on rotation. There is a bulletin board covered in washout statistics that nobody wants to read too closely. You are 21 years old, or maybe 29, or maybe 38. It doesn't matter. Everyone starts here. Everyone starts in the same beige classroom, staring at the same radar scope simulator. And everyone is quietly aware that more than a third of the people in this room will not make it to certification. You sit at a console with a screen full of blinking dots representing airplanes that don't exist yet, and an instructor gives you a scenario, 3 aircraft converging on the same fix, and asks you to keep them separated by exactly 3 miles or 1,000 feet. You freeze. Your hands are steady, but your mind is for seconds behind the screen. You lose the picture. The instructor pauses the simulation and says, calmly, "You just killed everyone on board." That sentence follows you home. You come back the next day anyway. You memorize phraseology until it replaces your own voice in your head. Traffic, 12 o'clock, 8 miles, opposite direction. You say it in your sleep. Then one afternoon, an instructor lets you run a live simulation without stopping it once. You keep the picture. You separate the traffic. You walk out of the lab, shaking, holding a printout of your scores, feeling something you will spend the rest of your career trying to feel again. You don't know it yet. But that shaking feeling in the hallway is the first brick in a wall that eventually leads to a dark room where hundreds of lives depend on your memory alone. You just don't know that yet. Level 2. The Developmental Controller. You get assigned to a real facility, a tower or a radar room in a city you didn't choose. You are legally allowed to work traffic now, but only under a certified controller sitting beside you with a second headset, ready to take over the instant you fall behind. Your first live airplane calls in, and your voice cracks reading back the clearance. The senior controller doesn't laugh. He's heard it before. You work 6 days a week because the facility is short-staffed, a pattern the FAA's own 2026 workforce plan admits is now structural rather than temporary. You make around $45,000 during training, a number that doesn't match the responsibility already sitting on your shoulders. You go home some nights replaying a handoff you almost missed. You don't tell your family how close it was. You show up again the next morning because the traffic doesn't stop for how you feel about it. Level 3. The Certified Controller. Radar side. You finally work a live position alone. No one is plugged in beside you anymore. Your first solo session. A low ceiling rolls in and 3 arrivals need to be sequenced through weather. You can't see out the window, only on the scope. Your hands move faster than your thoughts, which is exactly what the training was for. You separate them. You breathe again on the ground frequency. You go home and replay every call anyway, because the job never fully lets go of you once the headset comes off. Level 4. The Full Performance Level Controller. You now work every position in the facility. Ground local approach departure. The busiest hour of your shift looks like a wall of aircraft stacked on frequency, and you run it without a single missed call. The GAO's own reporting has confirmed that staffing gaps at busy facilities now force fewer controllers to cover more positions than the system was designed for. And you feel that math personally every time a coworker calls in sick. Your pay has climbed past $130,000 billion at the 6-day weeks, and the mandatory overtime blur your days together until you stop remembering which shift you're on without checking the schedule. You start to notice the toll in small ways. A shorter fuse at home, a harder time sleeping on your days off, a body that has learned to run on adrenaline, whether or not the traffic calls for it. Level 5. The on-the-job training instructor. You start training developmentals now, sitting beside someone as green as you once were, ready to key the mic and take the airplane out of their hands if they fall behind. You say the same phrases your instructors said to you. Watch your sequence. You're behind the picture. You hear their voice come out of your own mouth and understand this is how the skill survives. Controller to controller, across the same scope. Roughly a third of the people you train will wash out before they finish. You lose sleep over the ones who almost make it. Level 6. The controller in charge. You now supervise a shift, not just work traffic. When a facility director reports nearly half of towers understaffed during a funding lapse, you are the one deciding which positions get combined and which gaps get absorbed by whoever's left on the floor. You watch a trainee take over final approach traffic during a thunderstorm because there's no one else to plug in. You stand behind them anyway, silent, ready, and you understand for the first time that supervising doesn't mean doing less. It means being the last line of defense for every mistake you can no longer make yourself. Level 7. The frontline manager. You move off the scope and into the operations room. You are responsible now for staffing a facility that is, on any given day, short the number of certified controllers the FAA's own targets say it needs. You build schedules around 6-day weeks because there is no other way to cover the traffic. You sit in briefings after every close call, reviewing separation losses that came within seconds of becoming something worse. You carry a number in your head that never gets smaller. How many certified bodies you're short this month. Level 8. The facility manager. Hundreds of controllers and dozens of positions answer to you now. When an aircraft crash becomes a national story and investigators start asking whether staffing played a role, the questions eventually land on your desk. You approve overtime you know is unsustainable because the alternative is closing a position entirely. Every decision here weighs the traffic in the air against the exhaustion of the people managing it, and there is no version of the job where both sides are fully satisfied. You realize, staring at a staffing chart instead of a radar scope, that the deepest form of mastery was never keeping two airplanes apart. It was learning to carry responsibility for separations your own hands will never physically make. Level 9. The training and standards evaluator. You travel between facilities now, deciding whether other controllers are ready for full certification, sitting behind trainees in the highest pressure evaluations of their careers. You tell someone who is given 4 years to this that they need more time before they can work alone. Watching their face is harder than any traffic you've ever separated. You also help rewrite the procedures that come out of every close call, knowing the paperwork you file in a quiet office might be the reason the next one never happens. Level 10. The retired controller. You work your final live position on a Friday afternoon in September. Your coworkers know. Someone plugs in behind you for the last handoff, purely for ceremony. Since you don't need the help anymore, you unplug your headset and set it on the console for someone else to use tomorrow. You walk out of a building you've worked inside for 30 years and don't know what to do with your hands, since there's no scope in front of them anymore. Your spouse asks how the last shift went, and you say it went fine. And you sit on the porch the next morning, listening for a frequency that isn't there. You have kept hundreds of thousands of strangers separated by 3 miles and 1,000 feet for 3 decades, and none of them ever knew your name. That was always the job. Somewhere right now, a 21-year-old is sitting in a beige classroom at the FAA Academy, staring at a scope full of aircraft that don't exist yet. Hands steady, but mind still catching up to the screen. They have no idea what the next 30 years will cost them. The 6-day weeks, the years of being short-staffed, the traffic that never stops needing someone awake and watching. They have no idea it will hollow them out and fill them back in with something they can never fully explain to anyone who hasn't sat at that scope. But they'll figure it out. They always do. The cycle continues.